installed by the company that makes, and there are two companies now that were making 1080. There was one called
Tull Chemicals.
No, it isn't. Anyway, it's a state-owned enterprise that is there. It was just animal control product. It's just gone from my mind. Anyway,
Yeah, ORILION.
They bring it
ORILION.
in. ORILION was the new name.
That's owned by New Zealand government, isn't it?
Yep, that is. And so that just for the production of 1080 to use in dock and TV control.
Mind you, there's millions of hectares being dropped. So how come they can get that much chemical from the United States? Where do they manufacture the poison?
It's a very small amount of poison that is used in
That's because it's so lethal. It's 1/500th of an ounce will kill a human being.
No, I don't. Well,
I
don't know of the raw material. I can't speak for that. But the way they put it into pellets, which are designed now, for a whole lot of reasons to be not attractive to, native flora or fauna, but then to be consumed.
Well, why did we find dead moorporks after the drops? Which is what we've done. We found 2 dead moorporks straight after the drops. One flew into my neighbour's window at night because that takes away their sight. They're just blinded.
Well, I can't talk other than Doc does the assessment on what are the relative merits of killing the possums and killing possibly the bykill of stoats and rats.
Deer and rats.
And then over time,
Curie,
they've
Kea. What about all the Kea they've killed?
Yeah, and I guess on balance,
because I've got Kea nesting on those hills I just pointed to.
Yeah. And so there sometimes are some adverse consequences, but on balance, they believe and they have the evidence to show that actually the bird life comes back better than it would have.
I don't believe that. And another thing is, on the label, it says the manufacturer's label, the 25 kilo bag, it says it is an ecotoxin, do not drop into waterways, and yet they've dropped into all our waterways.
No, they shouldn't be dropping it into particularly any source areas for drinking water. That's a no-go.
Well, they did, and what can I do about it if they did?
Well, if you can prove that, if you can show it, then that will certainly check the program that they ran, and they now record every flight and where they drop all of that poison.
Well, we picked up 92 pallets within a 100-metre stretch in Harold Creek, which directly feeds Harry.
Yeah.
Now, 92 pallets in a 100-metre stretch, and it went all the way up the river like that. We just GPS'd and we filmed every single pallet in that creek.
And I can't explain, why that should not have happened.
It shouldn't have happened. And what can I do about it if it did happen?
Well, you can certainly raise that, and you go back to ORILION and to
well, that's why I'm seeing you actually, because you've got more power than I have.
Well, what I can do is if you've got the evidence and you've got the dates of it, then bring that to me and I'll take that up with them.
Yeah. Well, another thing that happened on that same drop, we went and checked the Ferguson's Creek, and when we were going up there, the Wyatts.
What was that?
This is 2018. Yep. The last big drop they done there. 2018. We went up Ferguson's Creek. And on the way up, we run into the farmer, Mr. Wyatt, one of the Wyatts, the dad. And he said that four of his cows had gone down straight after the drop. And he was going up to check his water supply because they were supposed to have avoided it. And he got up there and reckoned there was no baits, but it was raining. And he's coming back down again. And we said, well, we'll go and check it as well because it's in heavy, thick bush, right? We went in there and we found 13 pallets in the creek all the way up that was feeding his water supply. And then on the way out, we ran into the sun. And beside all the baits, we put little cans to show where they were, and we filmed it all. Then we took the son up and showed him where the pellets were. And then four of his cows collapsed. That was why they were going up there to check the water supply, and they never avoided the water supply like they're supposed to have done.
I think because if you've got rain, and that's what they have to be mindful of that. If you've got rain, they are small pellets, then chances are they can be washed into creeks.
That's why they were directly dropped. They were solid pot pellets dropped individually. You could see them in the creek, and that's thick bush. Yeah. So there was, and then why did the cows go down?
Yeah, look, I can't explain any of that.
And why isn't MPI concerned about 1080 and the meat and the milk?
We are, and there's been none of that.
I bet there is. There's got to be. That's just they don't. Do they test for it?
Yes, we certainly do.
You do test for it?
I mean, we test before anyone exports anything. We test for any potential contaminants.
And you test for 1080 You test for
1080
1080.
would be broken down. It wouldn't be in that form if it ended up in meat. And I think there's been one case recorded which, upon investigation, they thought was contamination off the back of an animal and through to deer. And
No.
so there's been no other recorded incidents.
Yeah, well, I believe that it's in the meat and definitely in the milk. It's definitely there. It has to be, because you can't drop that close to the boundary like that. That's where they're going to drop, and there goes the farmland right there, and they're not contaminate the grass and everything. And have you seen the dust that comes out of those drops?
Yeah, well,
it's all over the place.
Yeah, I haven't been and had a look at a drop, not for a long time.
Well, you should, because it's bloody criminal. It's insane.
Well, look, if you've got incidents where you're concerned about it, or you've got a better proposition particularly for that boundary stretch, then you can put it down on paper and put it to them and copy me in, and I'll make sure that they consider it.
Well, what's the government going to do about this 10A? Is it just going to continue using it ad infinitum, or what?
No, we're investigating, alternatives as they come up, using different chemicals and different ways of doing it. As I say, we're spending more on trapping, on ground control, and less on 1080.
You're nailing all the water supplies here, and there's been 2 cases of motor neuron disease in Harry. There's 3 suicides in 3 months. There's a heap of cancer. Ross apparently has got one of the highest cancer rates in New Zealand, and you dropped it into the Ross water catchment.
I'm not aware of any of those stats.
Well, we are. I hired a lawyer, and we got 23 affidavits, and we've got all this evidence, and we tried to get it into court. We went through security for cost issues, that issues. It dragged on for years, and we never even got a court case. Instead, we ended up with $30,000 court costs. So our attempts to do something about it are just legally and properly are not working.
We're scrutinising it really, really carefully. We're aware that people are concerned about it.
Well, it's insane.
Ultimately, we have to base.
There's no possums there.
Science.
There's no, and possums are a resource, and the deer are a resource. People are starving in the world, and you just and it takes an average of 8 hours to kill a possum. Those possums end up, and deer end up in the waterways, full of poison.
I've got
yeah, I understand. Yeah, I know.
Look, I have heard the views, and as I say, I keep an eye on everything they're doing. Wherever there's an incident, or someone says that it's been dropped in the wrong place, or there might have been some contaminant issues, and effect of it, it's all investigated. Believe me. But
it isn't investigated, because we've tried to get it investigated. The MOH sent the contractors in who dropped the poison to check to see if there was poison in the water. How does that work?
Yeah. That's
totally wrong, and she's letting them. And the district council has got a ridgeline to ridgeline exclusion zone of water supplies, put in by Maureen Pugh, and it's never been adhered to, and yet it's still on the books.
Yeah.
Nobody's being held accountable, and because the regional council
it shouldn't be going into any.
The regional council are responsible for doing the monitoring, right?
Some of it, I guess.
Yeah, and yet they are the ones dropping the poison, because the Vector Control Services is a regional council business unit.
They are part of the whole thing. Yes.
Yeah, that is insane. That is honestly insane.
Okay, righto. Look, thanks.
Thanks very much, Damien.
Okay.
Yeah, no, pleased to meet you again.
Okay,
Cheers.
no worries.
I need your card, thanks.
I've given it to you.